Alright, hey you guys, it is TsubakiSwagg and I'm coming to you with my review of Death Parade, Episode 8, Death Rally, and this episode was probably the most intense episode by far in the show. Like this episode was so freaking awesome. Oh my god. Really just was not prepared in the slightest for this episode. Like, oh my gosh. So it turns out that, like Dekium, of course, he always gets the memories of the people that are going to be coming to his bar before they get there, so that way he can, I guess is their way of somewhat getting a feel for the person before they get there. So he got their memories. He was like, that's odd. So he called Nona and asked her about them, and it turns out that one of them is a murderer. So before they died, they murdered someone. And of course, the assistant, what is her name? What is her name? The assistant, she, of course, doesn't, like, she can't get, well, she doesn't get the memory. So she saw this and, well, she was hearing this. So one of them is a murderer, but they don't know which one. Well, she doesn't know which one. I think Dekium does. So of course, the two people come in. It's a younger boy. Well, not necessarily a younger boy. He's around my age. He's 22. And there's also a detective. And they come to the bar. And at first, of course, as all things turn out most of the time, they try to figure out a way to get out of the bar. And then when they figure out that they can't get out the bar, they try to be in cahoots and figure out a way to get out of the situation that they're in. So they were talking to each other, and at one point, Shimada, because Shimada is the younger boy, and Tatsumi is the detective. So at one point, Shimada, he went into the bathroom and he found a bloody knife in his book bag, which I am concerned as to why he would bring that down there, considering where they are. Why would he even have that on him? Most of the time when people come in there, they don't have anything. They literally just have like the clothes on their back. And this also made me think about it because when they get there, they said in last week's episode, I'm sorry, I didn't review that one. I had a lot going on. The last week's episode pretty much said that everyone that's down there are dolls. Like, even the people that come down there, they're not necessarily the person because they're dead. So they're like dolls that have their memories and like personalities in them. So, and even at one point they showed Tatsumi when he was searching around, he saw Machia's doll playing the piano, and he was creeped out a little bit. So they show like Tatsumi and Shimada talking to each other, and he's like, well, they decide they're just gonna go ahead and do the game. And Tatsumi was telling Shimada, like, I'm a detective, so looking at Dekium doesn't have the eyes of a killer, but he's also not lying. So when they told them that they're going to play a game and their lives are going to be at stake, you could tell that he wasn't lying, but he's not going to actually be a killer. So they go ahead and do the game, and they get they get air hockey, which is why it's called Death Rally. So the air hockey table comes literally out of the ceiling, that table is so freaking dope. Oh my god, I would kill to have that table in my house. I really want the pool table because the pool table looks freaking awesome. But that's neither here nor there. So they get the rules, like they have to get a 6, and blue, I think blue was for Tatsumi and red was for Shimada. And when you, each score is 1 point, and if you score your own, like if you score your own puck in the other person's goal, you get 2 points, and if they score your puck in your goal, you lose a point. So they started playing, and they were going back and forth, and then at one point they got to a tie. They're at 3 points, and they took a break, and Shimada was talking to Tatsumi. Tatsumi was smoking, and pretty much he was like, he doesn't understand. Like, he was pretty much like he doesn't understand what's going on. So after he finished smoking and everything, they went back to the table, and Tatsumi started seeing memories. Like he saw a memory of his sister when their parents died, and he was comforting her. And then he saw another memory of him and his sister together. She was like getting ready for school, and she was pretty much like, I'm gonna make you proud, blah blah blah. So that was really sweet. And Shimada was like, how can I forget this, blah blah blah. And Tatsumi was asking him if he was okay. So then they continued to play, and Tatsumi was landing some points on him. And then Shimada was landing some points on Tatsumi. Then Tatsumi had a memory, and he remembered his wife. Like his wife had given him, like while he was smoking, he remembered that his wife had given him the pair of shoes that he had on his feet right then, because she was like, I noticed that your old shoes were getting worn out, so wear these to your heart's content, pretty much. And then when they continued playing, he had another memory. His wife got murdered. So he was freaking out. Like he had to walk away for a minute to gather his thoughts. He was like, how in the world could I forget something like that? So after he came back, his whole demeanor changed, and they were playing, and he was playing he was really playing aggressively. And Shimada was like, what is wrong? What's wrong with you, Mr. Tatsumi? And he landed a point on him. But time finally ran out, because Tatsumi remembered at one point, he remembered that his sister got assaulted, and it was by a stalker that was following him. So that was following her, and he wasn't able to protect her, because after their parents passed away, he was the only one that was providing for the household, and they were poor. So right after he got out of high school, he started working, and he was working so much that he didn't have time for his sister. And then at one point he was talking about how him and his sister used to play air hockey, but eventually they would just keep rallying, so without winning any points, and then eventually the time would run out. So after both of them remembered those two horrible things, Tatsumi was like, I have something that I need to do. We have to hurry this up. There's something that I need to do, and I will do it even if it causes me to lose my life. And Tatsumi asked him what happened, and he told him about his sister being abused by a stalker, and the police weren't going to do anything until after it happened. And Tatsumi was like, well, I have somebody that I need to kill too, blah blah blah. And right before that, Dekium told them that the rules of the game were going to change because time had run out, and for each puck, when it has a respective body part, is going to be linked. So it's kind of like how all the other games have been linked to their body. So if the puck has an eye, it's going to hurt their eye. If it has a heart, it's going to hurt their heart, blah blah blah. So whatever body part was on the puck, which I was wondering why there were body parts on the puck at first when there was absolutely nothing to do with it. So if they had done it within a time limit, they wouldn't even have to worry about being hurt by it. So yeah. And of course, the episode ended on Tatsumi saying that he himself, a detective, a law enforcement officer, was going to kill somebody. And I feel like he knows who killed his wife. Well, he knows that he knows, but he can't remember right now because their memories slowly come back as they're getting closer to death. Well, getting closer to passing on. And this episode was so freaking intense. I really was just not prepared in the slightest for the way this episode ended. And then watching the little preview after the episode was over, Dekium, I guess, made a call to Nona so that way she could get the memories of the people as well. And it turns out she freaked out when she finally got the memories, and it turns out that both of them killed somebody. So I'm looking forward to seeing how next week's episode turned out, but I'm so angry that we gotta wait until next week to get this episode. But anyways, this episode was freaking awesome, and I'm so looking forward to next week's episode because this was so freaking intense. Really was not prepared in the slightest. So yeah, So as always, I would love to hear how you guys felt about this episode. How do you feel about the way things turn out? How do you think things are going to turn out in next week's episode? Like, what do you think is going to happen? Who do you think that there's a possibility that they might they might be like linked to each other, like the reason why one of them died is because the other one died, or vice versa? I don't know, I'm just rambling right now. So yeah, so as always, please remember to comment, thumbs up, and subscribe. It helps me a whole lot. And this is TsubakiSwagg saying adios.